Hey folks, it's Eugene Driscoll of valleyindy.org. Welcome to Navel Gazing, our weekly podcast. We're heard on 103.5 LP FM within the city of New Haven, but we're also heard on valleyindy.org, iTunes, Google Play, Libsyn, and SoundCloud. YouTube as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Valley Indy. You can check us out on Facebook.com, Valley Independent Sentinel. So usually this is a weekly talk show, and the subject's usually the Lower Valley. People, places, things, current events. But this one's a little different. We're actually going to play for you an episode of somebody else's podcast, but I'm involved in it. It's called The Mobile Horror Companion. And about a year ago, my friend Brian Spears, who does special effects makeup for movies and TV, he makes zombies and other disgusting things. He got involved in a podcast, The Mobile Horror Companion, through another friend of his named Joe, who's a screenwriter. So I'm the third wheel on The Mobile Horror Companion. But recently we did sort of a Valley-related thing. We had on Larry Dwyer, and he lives in Derby. He's in charge of Connecticut Cult Classics. That is a group that puts on movies, screenings of movies at the Strand Theater up in Seymour, and they have one coming up in March. So they're going to be screening 2 John Carpenter movies. So what you're about to hear is a heavily edited version of the Mobile Horror Companion. I cut it down by about 50% in terms of length, and I cut out all the bad words. Because, hey, it's a horror movie companion podcast, right? It's a horror movie podcast. You're going to be a little blue. So without further ado, here is the Mobile Horror Companion interviewing a guy from Derby. Hey, I'm Eugene. Welcome to a very special edition of the Mobile Horror Companion. Follow us on Twitter at MobileHC666. We're also on Facebook, iTunes, Libsyn, and most recently, the YouTube. I'm joined by my co-hosts Joe Greenberg and Brian Spears, and tonight we're talking John Carpenter, people. Before we get into it, and before I introduce our very special guest, we'll probably have some new listeners, I think, for this episode because of our super-duper guest. So give me like 30 seconds. 30 seconds or so to introduce Joe and Brian first, the other co-hosts. Oh, wow. But before I do that, I should just, you'll probably notice if you're a longtime listener, all three of you, our sound's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to quite be up to those professional recording levels, Scott the engineer levels that we've done in the past. But I'm going to blame it on the blizzard. I record in Connecticut, and there was a lot of snow, so deal with it. All right, so here we go. Joe Greenberg is a screenwriter, and he's the winner of the 2014 Final Draft Big Break Screenplay Contest for Man Alive, a sci-fi tale that was recently named to the 2016 Blacklist. And that's a list of the best unproduced screenplays. Man Alive was purchased last year by 20th Century Fox, and the great Noah Hawley of TV's Fargo and Legion is attached. Hello, Joe Greenberg.
Hey, how are you? Wow, that's I wasn't expecting the big introduction, but yeah. How you doing, everybody?
All right, Brian Spears, he's the other guy. He's a special effects makeup artist. He just got nominated for a Fangoria Chainsaw Award for his terrific gore gags in The Mind's Eye. His other credits include I Sell the Dead, The Innkeepers, Late Phases, We Are What We Are, The Sacrament, VHS, Sleepwalk with Me, Cold in July, and just about every Marvel show currently in production on Netflix, plus Stakeland and Stakeland 2, which just came out on video on demand. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Spears.
Hello.
I'm just glad you're still there. And then our very special guest tonight, is a staff writer with HorrorNewsNetwork.net. His earliest memories as a kid include seeing Dawn of the Dead, Mother's Day, and Blood Beach at a drive-in theater with his parents. He's also a guitarist.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's also a guitarist who's played in Death Threat and a little band called Hatebreed. And For our purposes, he's the founder of Connecticut Cult Classics, a group that screens horror/genre flicks at the Strand Theater up here in Seymour, Connecticut. Please give a warm mobile horror companion welcome to the only guy in this podcast who's actually interviewed George Romero, Larry Dwyer. Hello, Larry.
Hey, what's up, guys? Man, that was a hell of an intro.
I'm totally high on meth. I'll just throw it out there right now.
That made me sound a lot more important than I really am.
Well, I didn't get to my intro. I'm now going to introduce myself.
Oh.
I'm unemployed. No, I'm just kidding. So let's get into it here. The next screening for the Connecticut Cult Classics is Saturday, March 18th at the Strand Theater in Seymour. It is John Carpenter Night. Larry's going to be screening Big Trouble in Little China and The Thing. Double feature is just $10, $10. You can buy tickets at ConnecticutCultClassics.com. You can also find out more at Facebook.com/Connecticut Cult Classics. By the way, the Mobile Horror Companion is one of many proud sponsors of John Carpenter Night. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about John freaking Carpenter. There's an ongoing controversy in this podcast, Larry. Maybe you can weigh in.
Sure.
Is it... Why do you, Joe? What are you getting all?
Just go ahead and ask. God,
you've had an attitude since the minute we started this thing. Okay, it's not. Give me a break. We can't all sell Man Alive to freaking Noah Hawley. All right, some of us were ham and egging it. Is that phrase? Ham and egging it. Texas Chainsaw 1, Larry, or Texas Chainsaw 2?
1.
Larry, I love you. Larry, you need to be a permanent member of this podcast.
Listen, I love 2. I love Bill Moseley. I love the Chop Top character. I especially love the Breakfast Club poster. Always been a favorite of mine. But I mean, just for pure genius in scares and creepiness,
you're going to go with part 2. I get it. I totally understand.
Dennis Hopper, we understand.
Have to explain anymore.
I gotta stay part 1. I gotta go with my man Gunner. I gotta stay part 1.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, you guys want to move on to the topic at hand?
We could argue all night. We could just change.
Somebody finally agreed with me on a point in the podcast, so please, we have to move on.
No, please do not discount the wisdom of Glenn Baisley, who pretty much falls with you on every major category.
That's true.
So, all right. So, John Carpenter, I put some notes together. I don't know. Apparently, no one read them.
I got it open right now, man.
I got it right here.
So the big news, right? John Carpenter kind of gave his blessing to the Halloween remake that's happening, and I guess it's Blumhouse, right? Is Blumhouse the company behind it? So, yes. and then the big news is that it's going to be written apparently by Danny McBride, and I guess directed, and maybe this is too early, but David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
It's David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. And I thought we would just throw it around, starting with our guests, since that's polite. What are your thoughts on this latest John Carpenter Halloween reboot news?
Well, how can I put this? I generally dismiss remakes out of hand. I don't really like remakes of what I consider to be perfect movies, and I consider Halloween to be a perfect movie. That said, I'll of course watch it. However, what to expect from a script written by Kenny Powers is I don't know. It's not unsettling to me, because whatever happens, and listen, if it turns out to be another piece of crap, then I've got more stuff to make fun of, and I appreciate that. I like to have things to make fun of. But if it turns out to be some brilliant masterpiece somehow, I'll support it. I just can't. I can't wrap my head around why John Carpenter would be excited to have Danny McBride, who I love. P.S. I'm a big fan of Danny McBride, but as getting involved in the remake of Halloween, I don't get it.
We're not giving these guys. These guys could be 2 huge horror geeks that we don't even know of. They went in there. They pitched their idea. I think they're gonna And I think this is like finally we have a great director. This isn't a first-time director.
Maybe it'll be about the masks. Maybe it'll be a remake of Halloween 3
Again,
somehow.
I just think this is like the best director because I never would have thought of this guy to direct.
Hey, let me jump in for a second because Joe cut out for about 5 seconds there. Can you repeat your what you just said, Joe? I totally did not hear you.
I just started to talk about Larry had mentioned something about like not liking remakes of what you think is a perfect movie and stuff like that. I think where remakes kind of work for me, and I think that Rob Zombie Halloween maybe is a bit too far of a departure from Carpenter's vision. I didn't necessarily hate it, but I think if you take a movie like Evil Dead and the 2013 version of that, like it's something that kind of feels like it's in that same space, but it's not a remake of Evil Dead. Like you could say it's a remake, reboot, whatever, and it kind of fits. And I don't know, I think it can be done well. And I used to be very like staunch, like you can't touch that, like this title is sacrosanct and stuff like that. But I think what I've come to realize is that it doesn't. I don't know. Like, I did not like the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003 or whatever that was. I think, Brian and Eugene, of course, love it. But
wait. Hold on a second here. Somebody get my attorney on the phone. You just slandered me, young man. Why do you have to accuse me of that?
Well, Brian loved it. But the point that I was trying to make
I don't know if I loved it either, but all right. I didn't think it was a big, it's way better than the first one.
It's no Unfriended.
Okay, well, that's what Brian just said. There is the point that I'm trying. Brian thinks the remake is better than the original. I would disagree, wholeheartedly with that.
But
the thing is, I don't think that remake, could kind of come and go, but the original was always going to be there. Like I don't know. I think in the long run, it doesn't take anything away from it.
Yeah, what I'm excited about, and then we should just move on, is, I really like that movie Joe with Nicolas Cage, and I didn't realize that David Gordon Green directed that. So, if you're looking for something that maybe is sort of in the Halloween type tone or direction, or seek out that movie Joe. That's a pretty good movie. A slow burn, but it's not in a boring way. All right, so that's that. I'm sorry. Who said what?
It's just a great Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah. All right. So then, next topic, we're going to talk about John Carpenter. Like I had said, like we are the best John Carpenter movie. Joe Greenberg? What is John Carpenter's best movie? And you better be right.
Somebody else needs to go first. I just talked for like 5 minutes.
I'll go because I can be quick. I'm going to say this. The Thing, but we're going to talk about that later. So I'm going to say, for me, it's either Escape from New York.
Wait a second. What, you just said it's The Thing, and then you said we're going to talk about it later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it because there's a screening of it in Connecticut in Seymour at the Strand,
March 18th. What a great way to work off a hangover, huh?
But that's the thing. The Thing to me is the one of the greatest movies ever made. So if you want, I'll say The Thing.
All right, Larry Dwyer.
Halloween. Halloween's always been my favorite John Carpenter film.
So that's immediate with you. There's not even a
100%. And it's nothing against The Thing, Escape from New York. I celebrate so many John Carpenter movies, but for me, the first one I ever saw was Halloween, and it's stuck with me. It's imprinted on my soul, basically. It's my favorite, not only horror movie, but top 3 favorite films of all time.
And then in terms of the Carpenter list there, what would you put as number 2 if you had to?
The Thing.
Okay. Brian, what would you, I guess you kind of said, you would say The Thing and then Escape from New York would be your number 2, Brian?
Yeah, or They Live. In my honest opinion, those are his best 3 movies, probably his only good 3 movies, but we could talk about that later.
Brian's just gearing up to rip John Carpenter a new one. I'm going to say The Thing by far, and I'm going to say that The Thing is, I think it's a perfect movie, and I rank it up there. It would make a list with Goodfellas, if you're going to go out of genre flicks. I think The Thing's one of the greatest. I think number 2, I'd have to go with They Live.
Yeah.
Joe Greenberg.
The Thing and Halloween, I would say, are 1 and 2 for me.
And you've talked about that. I mean, The Thing is like a personal movie.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about them sort of ad nauseum. But, I agree with Brian, like in that, I think of The Thing is in my top list for not even genre films, but just, films in general. I would say it's in my top 10 list of really anything that I've seen. So, and Halloween just being kind of a seminal type film, and it gives you everything a slasher film gives you. And the fact that it can do that with minimal blood, which a lot of people don't realize until that's brought up after they've seen it, I think is a sign of just a very well put together film and well told story. So those are my top two for Carpenter.
What about you?
I gave it already. I said the Thing number one, and They Live number two. See, that's why I like these notes, because I do that all the time. I forget immediately who said what.
I thought we were doing the top four with your little outline there. You said
no, four people.
Damn it, Joe. No, yeah, that's just to let me know. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't, like Brian just asked me to go again, but I already went. That's why, because I've been sitting there like checking them off on my thing.
Your box score.
So the great thing about The Thing, like Brian said, it is screening with Big Trouble in Little China, March 18th, Seymour, Connecticut, the Strand Theater for $10. Larry, what time does the show start up there?
I open doors at 7, just so people have time to grab some popcorn and find a seat. About 7:30, I start introductions, and then after introductions, trailers roll. And generally, the first movie gets started about 8 o'clock.
And then at what point do the police show up to escort either me or Brian out of the theater?
I'd say probably 7:40-ish. I would think. Probably when you start heckling me during my introductions, I would say the police will show up.
We do have a history of doing that.
Yes,
and I'm looking for the website if you want to buy tickets. It's ConnecticutClassics.com. If you want to buy tickets, you can buy them online. It's going to sell out. All of these that Larry's done a bunch, and we'll talk about it a little later, but these sell out quickly, and it's a good time for all. Wait, we got to do worst John Carpenter movie.
Oh, yeah, worst.
What's the worst John Carpenter movie? Let's go with Joe Greenberg. What's the worst John Carpenter movie?
I have a 3-way tie, but if I had to pick one, I would say The Ward, which I think is his most recent effort.
Pretty recent.
Yeah, I just I don't know. It just didn't feel like a Carpenter movie at all, and I don't know. I kind of can't even tell you, like, it's just so far removed from films like The Thing and Halloween and The Fog and even like Christine and Prince of Darkness. Like, just his, which I think it was supposed to be in that vein, like it was a darker thing. It didn't have like the humor of obviously Big Trouble in Little China or even like Escape from New York and Escape from LA. Like, those were movies that kind of, I don't know, were different in tone than the real, heavy early Carpenter stuff. And I don't know. It just seems to not fit in with the rest of, his canon, so to speak. So that's my vote, The Ward.
All right, Larry Dwyer, what's the worst John Carpenter movie? You have to answer.
All right, no, I have no problem answering with The Thing. No, I'm just kidding.
I want my sponsorship back right now. That $100,000 gold level sponsorship, I want it back in my PayPal immediately.
What am I going to do? No, for me, it's Escape from LA.
Okay, yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, I was so pumped up. I mean, who our age doesn't love Escape from New York?
Yeah.
Joe.
I mean,
I do.
No, I'm just kidding.
Stop it, Eugene. I love Escape from New York.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I was going to say, you're like the only person I know. So pumped up for it. And then just, and I still don't, sometimes for me, I will get so amped up for a movie that I don't know if the movie is that bad or I just had too high expectations. But I went in there with expectations and just came out like, I mean, I felt like if I've never met John Carpenter, but I might ask him for my money back if I see him.
Wow.
All right, Brian, that's a good answer. Brian Spears, did you answer this yet? Because now
I did not. I'd probably, I had a kind of a tie there, but it was Escape from LA.
Yeah.
And then Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Is that the Chevy?
Oh, yeah. And that's just because it was when I was in high school. That was a movie that came out. It was a John Carpenter movie that I could go drive myself to the theater, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah,
I saw that with you in the theater.
Yeah, like it was just really bad.
And here's the thing. Now we have... I'm sorry. Wait, I just stepped on whoever's talking. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was more talking to myself. That was Daryl Hannah too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I remember that. I haven't seen that in like 20 years.
And I guess we have, you think about it, John Carpenter, Danny McBride, this John Carpenter comedy thing happened once before with Chevy Chase, although that wasn't a comedy. I mean, maybe that was part of that movie's problem.
That was the problem.
Who wants to see Chevy Chase in a totally straight Invisible Man? Done much better with Kevin Bacon and what's his name, Paul Verhoeven in Hollow Man.
Hollow Man,
yeah, great movie.
I'm going to say the worst John Carpenter movie, I've just never been able to get through it. It's totally insane to me, is In the Mouth of Madness. And I know it has a pretty good following, but it's just, I don't get it.
Yeah,
we saw that in high school too. I saw that in the theater. And that's another, like, listen, I own that. I watch it all the time. But I don't get it. And I can't ever watch it all the way through, like straight through. I don't know. It bores me.
Strange movie. That's a strange movie, man.
But I know tons of guys that love that movie. Like,
it reminds me of I don't know why I associate these two in my head, but the movie Dreamcatcher, which has like that all-star cast.
Yeah.
I think it's called.
That's a good point.
This is just a bizarre like Titanic-like disaster. All right, so, but we should. Larry Dwyer is the guy who's going to be screening.
He's the guest.
He's going to be screening the thing.
That's right.
March 18th at the CT Cult Classics, the Strand Theater in Seymour, Connecticut. Go to ConnecticutCultClassics.com for more. Just don't put the in your URL because you'll just get totally screwed up. But Larry, why did you decide to screen this movie? Of all the movies to screen on a March 18th, why The Thing?
The people who love The Thing, it's like a religion, just like it sounds like it is to you guys. While I said that Halloween is my favorite John Carpenter movie, I do love The Thing. The Thing is a very close second to me. The atmosphere of that film, the loneliness, the paranoia. It really is just a film like no other. You can compare it to scenes of other movies, but it really is its own monster. There's nothing like it. And I did enjoy the prequel. I thought it was okay, but nothing can compare to The Thing from 1982. So I really wanted to bring that to the Strand and give people who've never seen it on the big screen the chance to see, what many think is Carpenter's best movie. So when I thought of doing a John Carpenter night, there was no question in my mind that The Thing was the headliner. As soon as I said, as soon as we talked about John Carpenter Night, I said, okay, The Thing is the headliner. Let's discuss what's opening up for it. And it was a toss-up between They Live and Big Trouble. The reason I went with Big Trouble is because I've actually seen They Live at Hudson Horror Show recently. I've seen it somewhere else recently. I think people have gotten a chance to see it pretty recently on the big screen. I don't remember the last time I saw Big Trouble on the big screen recently, so I wanted to bring that back. Doesn't mean I'm not going to ever show They Live. Just means that this time I thought, and plus I thought the comedy of Big Trouble would be a nice lead-in to the desolation, if you will, of The Thing.
Yeah, and the thing about They Live, and just for anybody who's listening, we have a lot of listeners in Indonesia. The Hudson Horror Show is in Poughkeepsie, New York. This is in Seymour, Connecticut, and they're about 45, 60 miles apart. So that's why Larry wouldn't show a movie that was just screened at another big venue. But the thing about They Live, if you want to see They Live, you just got to turn on CNN. It's actually happening. So I agree that I'd rather have something laugh a little with the goofiness of Kurt Russell. And it just dawned on me, they're both Kurt Russell. Yeah. Talk about versatility.
Yeah, that's range.
And I just remember, just real quickly, I remember the first time I saw the thing, it had an impact on me. I guess I sort of understand why it bombed, because the first time I saw it, that was the first movie I saw where it made me feel sick to my stomach. And I think it was the scene with the dogs when they were hurting. Yeah, they were hurting animals, and I was like, oh my God. And I was young. It was VHS, you know? And it was a movie that I just thought it was the most disgusting thing ever, and I think I had sort of a negative reaction to it because it was just so visceral, and I had never seen anything like that, and to me it was completely real. But then over the years to sort of, you know, gain this just deep respect for it and always watch it, I just love that movie, and I like I said, I'd put it up with Goodfellas.
When we were in high school, you wrote a story, 1991 probably. And you said the thing was the most underrated, like, should be praised. And I want to say, like, 1991, people weren't always saying that about the thing.
No, not yet.
You know, now it's a big deal. But, like, you know, you called that early on.
They were probably saying it. We just didn't have the internet to communicate it. You know what I mean?
True.
I think all over the, there was all horror geeks and movie fanatics all over the place who loved it. But the internet gave us a place to realize none of us are special.
You know what's important too? Talking about a movie that's 35 years old, but if you watch it right now, it stands up like a lot of movies that are 35 years old don't stand up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't play like an old movie. Like it still completely stands up like a movie. This movie could have been made a few years ago.
Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, that's the one. That one. I didn't put it on our list, but let's talk about that for a second. Larry, you had said you wanted to sort of even off the horribleness of the thing with a light comedy. Are you a fan of? Would you put that up there? Was that like your number 3 John Carpenter movie? What's good about it?
No, not my number 3. Definitely a movie I've always enjoyed. You know, it is funny. I've always loved Kurt Russell. I think that he's one of those actors that can be successful being funny and being serious. And Big Trouble is just such a wonky, crazy movie that I've always really liked it. I've got my Pork Chop Express coffee mug here. I'm a fan, and I think that, I think a lot of people that come to the shows probably haven't seen it, and I really would like to get into showing them some stuff that they haven't seen. So we'll see how it goes over.
Joe, what are your thoughts on Big Trouble in Little China?
I think it's different than really anything else that Carpenter's done. Like I feel like this is, him with a budget and doing something different. At the same time, this did come out, I think it was like 86. I believe it was the same year as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And I think the humor in that is indicative of kind of what was going on, and Evil Dead 2, I think, came out the next year, which was 87. So it's right around that time where we're seeing genre directors and we're seeing films that are successful with a little bit of money kind of going that, kind of comedic route.
Right. You just take all that money and you put it into cocaine, because obviously those 3 movies were, the cocaine budget must have been out of this world.
I don't know. I think the tone of it at the very least was definitely different than I think anything Carpenter did even after that. Like it just sort of seemed to be, I don't know, like you're following this buffoon around, but he's just this lovable hero.
Now, before I go to Brian to ask about Big Trouble in Little China, I just have to ask Larry, now which is playing first? You're doing
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, Big Trouble is the opener.
That's going to be the opener. Okay. And then next door there's a bar, correct?
No, there's a pizza, or is there a bar? There might be I think
Jimmy's. I believe it's called Jimmy's. I believe it's an old man bar.
Yeah, which is fine.
And I'm sick. No, I've just, to me, that's my religion. I mean, I see that in a loving way. There's a train station across the street. I'm just saying all this before we go in to ask Brian his opinion, because I have a feeling where this is going to go. But I'm just letting you know, Brian.
Okay.
Because I know you're going to, I'm in Derby, Connecticut. I'm 2 minutes away from this. It's March 18th.
I know.
You can come on up.
Well, I'm definitely buying a ticket. I'll say this.
Oh wait, this. Well, Larry, if somebody buys a ticket,
Yeah.
and then they go get, I mean, it starts at 7:30 or whatever it is. Can you go in like an hour into the show, or do you have to be there at the very start and sit all the way through, or how's that work?
You come in whenever you want, as long as, you know, if it's sold out, it's harder to find a seat, obviously. But no, I don't care when somebody comes in. I don't ever oversell the venue. I know how many seats it sits, and I usually sell about 20 less if I have to.
How many seats does the Strand hold?
It actually holds 280 something. But I don't sell any. I wouldn't sell anywhere close to that. It's too small of a. Even though the seats are there, a bunch of people sitting on top of each other. I wouldn't like it. So.
All right. So we say all that. Spears, Big Trouble in Little China. Your favorite movie? Go ahead.
Not at all. And I don't want to bash the movie. Here's the thing. I hated that movie growing up because I came off of Escape from New York, man. Like, not even The Thing. The Thing is, let's just take The Thing off the table. It's Escape from New York. Then he goes in Kurt Russell in the 80s was horrible, guys. Overboard? You know, like, come on, man. Captain Ron? Like, all this, like, I mean, he did that Tango and Cash movie. I mean, he had the mullet. I just think it just was too comic booky. He was also the same guy that did Buckaroo Banzai, that's another stupid movie. But, like, here's the thing. I've grown now, like the guy that I work with for 15 years on all these movies, Pete Gerner. He like loves that movie. And listen, Pete doesn't like a lot of good movies. So I'll be totally honest. Like, that's a movie like we'll put on in the shop, and I can tolerate that. Like, I've grown to like it in a sense for its technical stuff. Just because the movie's like shot well, has cool monsters, has like great fight scenes, it's stupid.
And I'll just say that Jimmy's Place, Brian, is at 133 Main Street in Seymour, Connecticut. It's got on Yelp, it's got 4.2 out of 5 stars, right?
Dude, if it has a cold beer, that's good enough.
It's old school. It's a great local spot, according to some random guy, according to Ozzy Osbourne. Great food, prime rib every other Friday. Great prices. I'm just letting you know, so I don't want you skipping out of this. $10.
I got to tell you, Brian. If you do come, I think I'm going to have you take a picture with my buddy Frankie, and I'm going to have him pull up his sleeves so you can take a picture right next to his full sleeve tattoo of Big Trouble in Little China.
Listen, in my bedroom, there's a Big Trouble in Little China poster. That's because Pete left it here, and I was like, what? It's in the way. I'll hang it up. Like, so I own it. Like, again, I can't knock it. If they came out with a super edition Blu-ray, I'd buy it. But it's more to like put on, like I can put that movie on in the background.
So just to get you on record with this, Big Trouble in Little China, barely tolerable. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2
is a freaking classic. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And they're completely different. But we can go on to this on another day when our guest isn't here and I can really insult you. But because I am right.
So I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, the only other like little topic I had, and it's sort of a probably not even worth going into, but maybe we should just mention that. This is Connecticut Cult Classics, and we all know, Larry, that you're the head of a hedge fund. I'm not even sure. Maybe you can go through all the country clubs of which you are a member. And I'm just curious how, living in Connecticut, you somehow developed a obsession with Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS.
Well, man, my whole education in horror started with my parents taking me to those crazy drive-in movies when I was a kid, and it just never went away. It never stopped for me, and unfortunately for my wife and children, it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon.
And we should just to close out, you're also connected to the Horror News Network .net, and you're part of the or correct me if I'm wrong, the CT Horror Fest.
Yes.
And there's another one coming up. We went to the last one. We had a great time. Last one, George Romero was the headliner. It's coming up in Danbury. Do you know when? And have there been any guest announcements at this point?
I know when, and I know the answer to that question. It is September 16th at the Danbury Ice Arena in Danbury, Connecticut. We're going with a new venue this year. A little bigger, a little better, a little colder. Ice Arena,
formerly home of for anybody out there,
right?
The Danbury Trashers. Unfortunately, the team is no longer in existence because their mob-affiliated owner was thrown in jail. He's out now. But yeah, that's got some local flavor to it. Let's say.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. You guys got anything else you want to add? Or you want to call it a night?
I think
Larry should get the last word. He's the he's the guest.
All right,
it's rare that we have a guest that we actually like. We typically hate our guests.
No, well, you'll talk about
Joe's only speaking for himself. Sorry, all past guests.
No, you guys will talk about how much you hate me on the next show. That's fine. I understand.
No, man, it's not. I understand. I mean, it's the chainsaw thing, but we forgive you, man. I mean, you're entitled to some opinions that are, you think are right.
Yeah, no, definitely, you're absolutely right. I'm totally off the mark with that one, but
not in my book, man. I'm telling you, it'd be great to have you on more regularly to even out this podcast. These two hate classic horror films.
We like good ones.
I gotta tell you,
I the classic.
I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever met anybody who liked Part 2 better.
Come on. Well,
I'm a little blown away by that.
I can tell you, I got a lot that you'd be blown away by.
They're sheeple.
Yeah,
I believe they call them sheep. They're cucks. Hey, Larry, let me ask you another question though before we. And you really don't have to answer this, but have you ever seen a movie called Unfriended?
Unfriended.
Just
no,
based on the title, how much do you think it sucks? It sounds terrible.
I think it sounds like a delightful film.
Larry, get lost, Larry. All right, listen, that's it. We're done. Larry, thank you very much for.
No, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. You guys are
good times, man. And hey, good luck at this screening, man. This is
good luck with the event.
No, I hope to see you all guys.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Listen, you guys, all three of you guys are on the guest list as of today. So,
well, I appreciate that.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
You got it. No problem. Hope to see you all there, and maybe we'll all go to that bar together during the show. We'll all go to the bar and discuss They Live.
Yeah. I like how Larry said as of today, because it all depended on how this podcast went.
It totally did it. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
All right, Larry. Take care.
All right, bud. Have a good night.
Later.
See you.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that was Larry Dwyer of Connecticut Cult Classics. You can find out more about that screening, just to reiterate, facebook.com, Connecticut Cult Classics, or go to ConnecticutCultClassics.com. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my tongue, which is swollen right now. I'm having an allergic reaction to something. I think it's Joe's slanderous statements about me through the course of the last hour.
The fact that someone came on and agreed with me, I think, is what's affecting you.
I don't want to get into a fight. So my name is Eugene, and the other guys are
Joe Greenberg.
I'm Brian.
And this has been the Mobile Horror Companion. Follow us on Twitter at MobileHC666. And that's a wrap.
Hey, see you next time.
Later.
All right. Hey, it's me, Eugene, yet again. Did you like it? No? Should I never do that again? Well, we gotta put out a show every week, and I'm a reporter. A writer, I don't know, podcasts, some schmodcasts. Anyway, let's go over, we got a couple more minutes to kill here. Let's go over the most read stories on valleyindy.org. That's our website. We don't cover the horror movie business on the website. So Take it easy. Number 5. Let me count down. Okay. Torrington guy takes home Ansonia Punchki crown. That happens every Fat Tuesday at Bakery in Ansonia. I'm not saying its name because I'm going to mispronounce it. Is it Eddie's? I want to say Edie's, but I believe it's Eddie's. It's got 2 D's. Y''S. They have a punchki eating contest, and if you don't know what a punchki is, what do you want from me? Go look at valleyindy.org, read the story. I don't know what one was when I moved up here, so we cover it every year. Ethan got a minute of video. I think he showed up late because I don't think it was on our story list. I think we totally forgot about it, and Ethan rolled in probably from wherever. So that was the 5th most read story this week. Then number 4 was just a simple press release. Griffin Hospital president to attend Trump's address to Congress. Apparently they're making some changes to the healthcare system. I don't know if you may have heard. Number 3, the local drinking show explains Valley New Year. That's right, Ken Tuccio, you had the 3rd most read story on the Valley Indy. We were a juggernaut. I think Ken hosts his show. He hosts a radio show on 95.9, The Fox. And he hosts a television show called The Local Drinking Show on WTNH. Sorry, those are the mobile horror companion guys arguing over one of our episodes. Leave me alone. So anyway, Tuccio does this local drinking show. It looks like, craft beer is a huge thing. It's practically our state. All the insurance companies are leaving or thinking about leaving. So we're left with craft beer is propping up the economy in Connecticut. And Tuccio does a show that's sort of related to that. And he did one about Valley New Year. That's the night before thing. Well, again, if you don't know what it is, go read the story. But Ken sent me the YouTube video. I think it had, just to not to pat ourselves on the back too much, I think Ken's video had about 300 views when he had shared it with me, at least on YouTube. Of course, the TV one was seen by more people. But by the end of the day, little Valley Indy magic, he got over 1,000. So, bam! Number 2, Stu Leonard, still not coming to Derby. We can't bring Stu Leonard to Derby. He just won't do it. Him and his robot cows. There was a rumor going around that the grocery store chain was going to move into the former Walmart over there at 656 New Haven Avenue in Derby. It is not going to happen. Stop asking. Then our most read story of the week. Woman falls off bridge in Derby. As far as I know, she was okay. That was a young lady walking on a bridge, fell off, and firefighters, ambulance corps people, Derby Storm Rescue Ambulance helped her out, got her at Bridgeport Hospital. So that's what you guys read the most. Then just barely, or actually this is kind of, if you wait it a little, the Governor Malloy is scheduled, as of this recording, to visit Ansonia March 6th to talk about school funding. The Ansonia Republicans, of all people, have been lobbying hard to get more money for the school district, to get what they say is their fair share from Connecticut, because they're constantly underfunded, shortchanged. So Malloy's proposed budget, which has made a lot of people angry, is supported in Ansonia, where they're talking about cutting back youth sports to deal with their budget woes, cutting back the library hours, essentially closing the library, according to the librarians. So drama in Ansonia. So anyway, that's it. 43 minutes. That's all you get out of me. See you next week.